So one of the things that I really kind of hammer home to a lot of the girls is that, you kind of fake it till you make it. We've all done silly things. We've all been teenagers. We've all put ourselves in, a bad situation. It's more so, okay, I'm in a bad situation, but what is my action plan right now? And that's really what I have them come away with, or hope that they come away with, that I left a party, I may have had too much to drink. What is my scenario? I don't need to walk home. Maybe I can, call a taxi instead. It's creating that, what I call like plan B. You have to have a different course of action when what you think originally should happen didn't happen the right way. But yes, it's talking about, how we dress and where we put ourselves, making sure that, whether it's a partner system or a buddy system, where kids are most vulnerable is, high school and college. That how many young people get victimized being in college because they're at that perfect immature age. They're smart enough to be in school, but not enough life experiences to know what's really out there. And as many times as a parent may, try to instill the safety, unless they've actually kind of walked the walk and been able to figure it out. I guess I look at it this way too. I think it's a different generation of how we're raising kids too. Parents are all more on that, let me do everything for you. Now kids don't have the ability or lack the ability to say, what do I need to do for myself?
That's a good point.
And I think that, I get it. I think that growing up in a certain generation where our parents worked and we were more latchkey kids, we kind of had to fend for ourselves. If you think about it, I don't ever remember really having a babysitter after school.
Yeah, that was a big
I'm not saying that my parents should have been arrested, but you think about it now, we don't leave kids that are 12 years old, at the age of 12 home alone. So I think that the survival skills have become very different. So again, kind of getting back to the self-defense, it's more about self-awareness. When you go into a restaurant, where are your exits? Where are your entrance points? Where are your safety zones? When you park your car, whether it's, at the mall or the movie theater or going to meet your friends. And I always tell the story too. I can remember being in Boston and it was cold and I left a party early. And I was a police officer at the time, but I was dressed in, heels, a dress. It was a Christmas party I had gone to. And somebody had said, why don't I walk you to your car? And I said, nah, don't worry about it. It's just across the street. For whatever reason, I knew what floor I parked on, and I just, you're rushing and I didn't remember exactly where I was parking. And next thing I know, I look around and I was by myself. And it really kind of struck me that, I could tell, somebody all day long that I was a police officer, but I was dressed as a very vulnerable woman at that time, and again, even though I may have been trained differently, I still put myself out there as not making the best decision. And why didn't I say, no, you can walk me to my car. That sounds like a great idea. Thank you.
So you think self-awareness is more important than the self-defense, or do you think they're both, in regards to martial arts or any kind of self-defense training, or do you think they need to both be there?
I always recommend, whether it's some kind of physical exercise or really, learning how to protect yourself. But, a lot of times people say, well, I'll just carry a can of pepper spray in my purse.
How does that work?
Yeah, exactly. And when you think about it, especially with some of these giant handbags, the likelihood that you're going to be able to fish around there and think that you could, ward off a potential attack is pretty slim.
And criminals are pretty adaptive, so they're probably kind of aware that the lady's going to have something in her purse.
Well,
most of the time, or are they that adaptive?
I don't even sometimes think that the perpetrator thinks as much like that, but it's more the victim has a false sense of security, thinking that pepper spray is going to, save the day. And I always ask the girls in my class, or the women in my class, like, how often do you practice with your pepper spray? I've never practiced. And as a law enforcement officer, we had to get certified. Those are some of the things that you train in, So again, if you're not out there in the backyard, learning how to spray and things don't, it doesn't fly back in your face, and now you're more likely to be assaulted than you were in the beginning. So I teach more situational awareness. One of the